Good morning. Good morning. I'm so glad that you joined me this morning, that you're going to study English, and I appreciate you coming and joining the class here, and I hope that you're learning something from everything that I teach here. If you have any questions, I hope that some way you can address them to me, whether it's sending a message or something like that. I want you to know that I'm very proud of you for studying another language, because it's not an easy chore. I understand that it's not an easy job, and just like we were talking in our in-person class, it's tiring. Sometimes it really just makes you tired to keep on using a different language. So I'm proud of you for studying and using a different language, and hanging in there and studying English. My name is Marge Peterson. I'm with the Claybrook County Adult Literacy Council, and if you ever have any questions or things that you want to if you want to know if somebody else wants to join the class or that sort of thing, we have a phone number, area code 361-595-1010. And you may have to leave a message, but someone will call you back and give you the information that you need. So I'm glad that you joined me today, and we're going to get started. We're going to do idioms first and then some grammar. We've been studying idioms by categories, and I know this was, since my last video was in a home, this one looks a little bit different now, the size of this poster, but anyway, our category this time that we've been doing, and there's lots of different ones. We're on number 28 or something today. That are descriptions of people, okay? And last time, I think that I had chosen ones that were not very nice. I hope that you don't fit into any of these, and maybe you don't even know anybody that fits into them. I bet you do know somebody, though, because some of them, they're just not very nice, descriptions of people, or not very nice people that we're talking about here. So these are the ones we had last time. A wet blanket. That's not terrible. It's a person who spoils or ruins other people's fun by being depressing or dull or nagging or negative, okay? If someone's a wet blanket, then it's like you can't have as much fun because they are spoiling the fun. And it's not always a bad thing, because if you have certain things planned and someone hasn't considered that maybe there's a big conflict with another important event going on or something like that, you may want to say to the person, I don't mean to be a wet blanket, but I want you to know that you're planning this big party the same day as our Independence Day celebration or something or other like that, so that it's not always a terrible thing, but it's not a nice thing if somebody is not, somebody is a wet blanket, okay? A snake in the grass, an unfaithful, untrustworthy, deceitful person, a traitor. And, I'm not sure how this one got how a snake got such a bad reputation, although I think it comes from the very beginning of when we first talk about snakes in the Bible even. So that's an untrustworthy, a deceitful person is a snake in the grass. I hope that you're not one, or that you don't know of any. Okay, a rotten apple. Think about if you have a bowl of apples and one in the middle is rotten, it spoils, and it's the ones that are touching it, if they stay too long, they will get spoiled in the same place that they're touching that rotten apple. A person who is dishonest or immoral, a person who is a bad influence on others in the group. And that's where if you think of how apples really are, then you think of that bad influence. A rotten apple, not a nice thing. Here's a couple more there's three more who are that are not. Stubborn as a mule. A mule is a donkey, okay? And they can be pretty headstrong, or stubborn is the word. And we pronounce it stubborn, stubborn. Put the emphasis on the first syllable, stubborn. Someone who is inflexible and unwilling to listen to anyone else, or to reason, or to change their mind. If they won't even listen to why other people believe something, that means that they're as stubborn as a mule. Okay, that's not a nice way to be, so I hope that's not you either. Fast talker. It's not just the how do I say, the speed at which they talk, but it's what they're saying. A person who speaks quickly and easily, but cannot always be trusted to tell the truth. So if a fast talker is trying to sell you, say they're trying to sell you their car, okay, and they tell all these things, and they said, okay, and you want to buy it now. And they want you to do it now, and it's a fast talker. Maybe something's wrong with the car, but you can't see it at first, but after a few days you would be able to tell that was wrong with the car, something was wrong with the car. Okay, they can't always be trusted. A fast talker can't be. So that's it has not that much to do with how the speed at which they talk. It has to do with how they want you to do something fast, and you know, how do I say, they don't always want to tell you the truth. Okay, fly by night. That's and this one it's pretty common when you think about people selling things. A swindler is somebody that takes your money and cheats you out of. They don't tell the truth either. They're a swindler or unreliable, untrustworthy person. It also means selling for a quick profit and then disappearing. So that if someone sells you something and they say, oh, and it's guaranteed for life, and then you don't ever see them again, even if it breaks the next week or something like that, they disappear because they have sold it to you and they make a quick profit and then they go. And this, you know, that would be more, how do I say, having to do in the business world. Okay, so all of those are pretty negative, not things that you would want to be or that you want anybody that you know to be. Okay, so here are the ones for today. We've got 6 of them, and these are all pretty positive. Okay, and these are all on descriptions of people. A whiz kid, someone usually young who is very talented and successful at doing something. Now this, I took this right from the definition, and some of these are from a book called a Scholastic Book of Complete Book of Idioms and Sayings and Phrases, or something like that. It would, and then I also used an app that has to do with English idioms, and they divide it by category, and that's where I got the idea of doing categories. But a whiz kid, usually when I've heard that term, because you hear the term, and usually talking about some young person, not necessarily just a child, but it could be just a younger person, and you say, oh, he's a whiz kid. And sometimes they know a lot about computers. They're very talented and successful at doing something. Maybe they are successful at doing computer programming or fixing the computers or something. You say, oh, he's a whiz kid at doing that. Or it could be just that they have a lot of general intelligence and general knowledge about things, because sometimes there's programs that are like competitions. They've had them on television. Sometimes the schools will compete against each other, and you might say, oh, all the whiz kids are on that team, because they have to answer different questions in different subjects. So it's someone who's, and usually it's someone young, who's very talented at success and successful at doing something, a whiz kid. Blue blood. I know there's a show on television called The Blue Bloods, and this is a little bit different. That one has to do with a whole family that are on the police force in New York City. Okay, this Blue Blood, and that's the name of the show, but I think they might have taken it from a little bit from this meaning. Someone who is an aristocrat or of noble birth from the upper crust of society. So that if someone, say that someone is, when it says noble birth, that's like related to a king or a queen or in the family or a cousin or some place in that family, a noble birth. That would be from some royalty sort of, who is an aristocrat or of noble birth, okay? Now, the end of that meaning is, or of the definition is from the upper crust of society. This was another word that describes people. Upper crust. Okay, the crust of something is the outside usually. And what the upper crust means, the higher levels of society, like the upper class. The upper class is probably a little better definition. But if they say, oh, well, they're from the upper crust means the upper class, okay, of society. This one, and it's a very nice compliment, straight arrow, and what the book said was straight as an arrow. I've always heard it, oh, he's a straight arrow, or the book said, or straight as an arrow. I haven't heard that way, but I've certainly have heard straight arrow. Someone who is morally upright and extremely honest. It's a very nice compliment. If you call someone a straight arrow, you mean you're giving that person a wonderful compliment, because you're saying they're a very honest person. You can trust them. They will tell you the truth. They live life in a very moral and upright kind of life that they live. A straight arrow. It's a good one to know, because that's pretty common right now when you hear that, okay? This is also common. To look the picture of health. That almost speaks for itself. If you look like the picture of health, you look extremely healthy. And in order to look extremely healthy, you have to be extremely healthy, okay? So you eat right, you exercise, you drink enough water, you get enough sleep, you manage your stress levels. It's somebody that and you're what do I say, taking vitamins or whatever you need to help any deficiencies that you might have, deficiencies. So if you look the picture of health, that to look extremely healthy, that means that you have a look of health about you, okay? And usually it's a happy one, because if you manage your stress and do all those things, then you are healthy. This one is really common right now too. Larger than life. If you've never heard that idiom, listen to some descriptions of people or the newscast or that sort of thing. Because what it means is someone who attracts special attention because he or she is very impressive or remarkable. It's if you say, oh, he's larger than life now, that means that everybody is noticing him and likes that person because they're impressive or they're remarkable, that they can do certain things, or that they are involved in some things, or that usually it's a complimentary kind of thing. Larger than life. It's a very common idiom that is quite new. You wouldn't see it in a book or something about that's older, because it's a fairly new idiom. Someone who attracts special attention. Lots of people notice that person because he or she is very impressive or remarkable. Okay, so that if the person does some great things, maybe they do some very generous things for other people, and you'd say, oh, he's larger than life. Okay, so these are all kind ones that you would say about people. The ones that we had before are kind of negative ones that you wouldn't want to use about somebody, but some people are not as nice as other people. So, but whiz kid, that's a positive thing. A blue blood, blue blood is somebody who is like from a noble birth or a noble family kind of thing. So usually that would be a positive thing because they have a certain amount of, how do I say, nobility, or a certain amount of goodness about them. Okay, the upper crust is the upper class. Okay, the higher levels. Straight arrow, that's someone who is morally upright and extremely honest, something that you really want, you would like to be, or you'd like your friend, or you'd like to know people who are straight arrows because they live very honest and very morally upright lives. To look the picture of health, to look healthy, and to be it's a good thing for your life, okay? Larger than life. If there's a person that's larger than life, usually it's somebody that's really, what do I say, really popular, you know, because people want to pay attention to that person because they do such great things, okay? So very impressive or remarkable, okay? So we're getting down, that's number 33. We have a few more. So next class we'll continue idioms that are with descriptions of people. And I hope that when you find out these things, that if you hear them, whether you hear them used in a, what to say, conversation, or whether you hear them on television or in a movie or a newscast or something like that, that you will understand whether it's something really good or really bad, or that a little bit more about the person that they're talking about. Okay. Now, we're going to switch gears for a little while, and we're going to do some grammar. And the grammar that we're going to do, we've been studying the past tense, and I know that we've been doing it for quite a while. I'm going to review it again because I think that when we really need the practice with it, that's what we're going to use. So this all has to do with past tense verbs. Okay, and we've been practicing a lot of irregular ones. This doesn't make a difference whether it's regular or irregular, okay? So I'm going to put that down here also, whether they're regular or irregular. And what I'm going to do is, remember I've told you before, if it's an affirmative, we went through this morning, affirmative can also be a positive. Affirmative means positive. So if you, let's say that, let's see, which ones can we use here? Okay, how about we use the word run? And we use the word run. Okay, let me put run up here. We'll put, and it's an irregular verb, so that's, I'll put it on this side. We use the word run to physically run, but we also use it like, I'm going to run to the store, which means I'm going to go quickly and come back. I'm not going to go and spend an hour shopping or something like that. If you have to run to the store to get milk, or I have to run to the store to get eggs, or something like that. So when I say Jack ran to the store, you don't know for sure. He might have physically run, but he might have just gotten in his car, driven to the store, the closest store there was, and bought a dozen eggs and gone home again because he needed it. It was something. So we use this word ran or run in a couple different contexts like that. So. But this is a positive. This is the affirmative or positive. Affirmative means you state something, and it's not you don't question it. You don't negative. You're not asking a question about it. You aren't saying a negative, it's a positive. It's a positive sentence. Jack ran to the store, okay? Ran is the past of run. It's an irregular. We don't say run in the past, we say ran. Okay, now let's put a negative, because there's 3 different ways that we use. A negative sentence, how would you say a negative? Jack, and this is what I did not or didn't. Now we don't say Jack didn't ran to the store. No. We say here's the past, just like we had a past there. This is the past. If you can remember that when you say a past sentence, a negative sentence, I mean, a negative past, you only use the past one time. You don't use it twice. So we say Jack didn't run to the store. We would not say Jack didn't ran to the store. Okay? We use the word that's the base form of the verb or the regular verb. Now, the other one that is similar to that is a question. We use the same form for the negative and the question. Now you want to ask the question, did Jack what? Run to the store? Because you've already asked, here's your past again. Remember I said you can only use the past tense one time, only one past tense verb. Did Jack run to the store? And I know when I do this example or this type of example, because we practice this in our in-classroom class also, that I had a couple of students say, well, I can understand it, or I can do it here, but sometimes the sentences are very long. It's the same basic form, because if you just add, if I said Jack ran to the store, and then he saw Mary. Okay, so that you would, that's the word see, okay? The past of see is saw. Jack ran to the store and then he saw Mary. Okay. Jack didn't run to the store and you want to say he didn't, you could say and, or you could say so he didn't see. Again, you would keep it in the past tense. So he didn't see Mary. Okay? Because once again, instead of, you're only using past in one place. That's a compound. Jack didn't run to the store, so he didn't see Mary. Mary was at the store. Jack ran to the store and then he saw Mary. Jack didn't run to the store, so he didn't see Mary. Did Jack run to the store? And let's see, I guess you could say, and did he see Mary? No. Did Jack run to the store and you don't have to repeat that part. You could say, did Jack run to the store and see Mary? Again, because you're using this one for both of them. Oops. I'm underlining the past once and the present, or the base form. Did Jack run to the store and see Mary? Okay, you can put it, did Jack run to the store and did he see Mary? You can say that because that's what you're saying, but you don't have to put it 2 times because that's kind of repeating. Did Jack run to the store and see Mary? Okay, so we have those 3. That's what we've barely been practicing, because I often hear people say Jack didn't ran to the store, because you're thinking negative, but negative is different than the positive or than the affirmative. Jack ran to the store and then he saw Mary. Jack didn't run to the store, so he didn't see Mary. Did Jack run to the store and see Mary? Or did Jack run to the store and did he see Mary? Okay, you could use this again. Did he see Mary? So that's what we're practicing, and I hope that I've mentioned this before, I hope that you will practice doing that. And sometimes just take a verb, because these are irregular ones. But let's see, what would be, okay, let's say that, let's say we used a regular verb is walk, because a regular past tense verb will add an ed, and we pronounce it walked, walked. So here you want to say Jack walked to the store and then he saw Mary, because here's a regular one, okay? Here is the past tense. Now, how would you say this? Jack didn't what? Jack didn't walked? No, Jack didn't walk, because here's the past. So he didn't see Mary. Did Jack walk? Again? See, so that whether it's a negative or a question, you use the same format there. Okay? And that's what we've been trying to do that, and we've been doing it, I know, over and over again. But it's really important to really have that down, because it helps you understand and be understood. Okay? Now, I put up some past, let's see. We had something called time expressions, or time, I'll call them time markers, what we could have. But, and they can come at the beginning or at the end, so that if you have the same thing, Jack walked to the store this morning. Okay, the time expression is over here, because usually they can be at the end of the sentence, but they can also be at the beginning. So you can also say, this morning Jack walked to the store. And sometimes they have to be at the end. But sometimes they have to be at the beginning. But most of the time, they're usually at the end. So that if you have some of the time expressions, if you say, Lisa and Kate took a trip to Spain 2 years ago. You could also say 2 years ago, Lisa and Kate took a trip to Spain. So there's, you can use them either one, but usually they come at the end. Okay, and some really common ones. Okay, this morning, yesterday, a week ago. Anything that says, or last year, if it says the word ago or last year, if it says last week, last year, that sort of thing, or if it says, let's see, what's, if it says in, and then a previous year, okay, in 2010, or let's see, on, you could say Jack walked to the store on Sunday, and you're using past there, so that's the time marker. That's how to know if it's past. Now, if you say Jack will walk to the store on Sunday, it hasn't happened yet, okay? So that it's still a time marker, but it tells you it's not past, it's the future. On Sunday, you could also say like at 6 o'clock. Jack walked to the store at 6 o'clock. Or you could say at 6 o'clock Jack walked to the store. So these time markers or time expressions can be used either at the beginning or the end of the sentence. So, and if you say every morning, if you use every, then usually that one is a present tense one. But these are all past tense ones, yesterday or this morning or this week or something, a week ago, last year, in a previous year, on Sunday or at 6 o'clock. Those are all time expressions that we use for the past. So our time is up for right now because we're having a little bit shorter class today, but I'm glad that you joined me, and I hope that you will practice using some of the idioms, but also practice this past tense work, because it's really important. I keep hearing people make mistakes when they're talking about and using past tense verbs, and different languages create sentences and do them different ways, and that's why I want you to really get it in your brain. And if you write it down and say it and you look at it, your brain is recording it. It's recording it as you watch it. If you say it out loud, it's recording it in your brain a second time. You hear it, so that's a third time. And as you're writing it, it records it again. So it's a way, if you are writing something, read it out loud, because your brain hears it again. And that's one of the things that they say, that with learning anything, the more that your brain hears it and recognizes as normal, the more it will become natural to you. Thank you for joining me this morning. I hope that you have gained some good information and that you will practice what I've been saying here about writing things down and practice speaking them and using them. Have a great day, and I will see you in our next class, okay? Bye!